Norwich are really bad, and they didn't even try to stay up. Watford made some savvy transfers, had goals in the team, and even brought in a top manager, but just couldn't defend a piece of candy from a toddler, so they hired a manager who would rather be with other teams than his own and got relegated. Burnley lost their best goal scorer to relegation rivals, and lost their best manager to cheap owners, and despite a good run at the end of the season, didn't have enough to stay up. Leeds had some of the worst injuries in recent Prem history, and also sacked a legendary manager, but scraped by enough late wins to stay up on the last day with help from America. Everton went on a crazy run at the end of the season, and after bringing in a new manager and spending hundreds of millions of dollars over the last couple seasons, they were able to achieve the incredible accomplishment of winning a relegation battle. Southampton didn't really do anything notable other than score a lot of free kicks and give up a lot of goals. Villa cashed in on their main man to waste their money on not main men to finish in the bottom half of the table. Stevie G taking over didn't really change their fortunes too much, but they've had the best summer window so far. Brentford were the league's overachievers and surpassed all expectations to stay up with some savvy transfers and a very savvy manager. Palace took a giant step forward in Vieira's first year, making the semi-finals of the FA Cup with a young talented squad complete with ballers like Eze, Olise, and Gehi, and also some good professionals like Zaha, Kouyaté, and Ward. They lose Gallagher back to Chelsea, who is probably their best player this season, but regardless, Palace is probably the most interesting project in the Premier League right now. Newcastle went from sure relegation candidates to easily staying in the Premier League after some Saudi money and a competent manager. Wolves started the season well, but were one of the worst teams in the last couple months and bottled European football because of it. Brighton had an incredible season, somehow managing to finish in the top half of the table despite calls for their manager to be sacked earlier in this season. And honestly, their transfers were pretty dang good. Graham Potter is building a squad to stay in the Prem for some time. Leicester underachieved this year, getting no European football after bottling top 4 the last 2 years in a row and winning the FA Cup last season. West Ham competed on a lot of fronts this year, and their league placement was hurt by their Europa League run as they made it all the way to the semi-finals. And despite hoping for a better season, there were still a lot of positives to build on and some controversies as well, and they're probably the favorites to win the Conference League next year. United were the underachievers of the season, spending 200 mil, bringing back Ronaldo, all to barely get Europa League and crash out of every competition by January. And Arsenal did the same, finishing 5th, and even though that's technically progress after a terrible start, they bottled a top 4 finish down the stretch, yet still signed their manager for another 3 years for some reason, literally learning nothing from United's mistakes with Oli. Now on to top 4, Tottenham are back in the Champions League after they sacked Nuno Espirito Santo in the first few months of the season. Their season was saved by Conte, who made 2 loan signings, and with just that and being able to instill his values in the squad effectively, he was able to get the job done. Chelsea spent big, lost their owners, and lost big in 2 penalty shootouts in domestic cups and failed the challenge for the CL or the Prem on the backs of brutal injury trouble. Liverpool played every game possible in the season and won 2 domestic cups while challenging for the quadruple, but got their hearts broken by City and Madrid in the last 2 weeks of the season. And finally, City won the league for the 4th time in the last 5 years and are favorites to win it for the next 5, with Haaland coming into the club. Thank you guys for watching the video lately. I've been trying to mix it up with my content now that there's not that many games going on. Instead of doing just summaries from moments that happen, I'm gonna try and experiment with a lot more long-form content. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day today, and peace out, guys. Take it easy. Oh, also, subscribe if you haven't already.